Smudger, how are you?
Hello, good. How you doing?
You look very well.
Thank you. So do you, boys. I've missed you since last week. 7 days goes like that.
It's a long old time.
It does. Your hair looks good. It could look better though, you know.
Why is that?
Goldstein's golden paste should be.
Do you think
that.
so?
Yeah.
You think so? Should I go where you go? What
Usually I'd say I'll give you a pot, but I'll give you a little bit of a pot.
Why don't you give him a pot?
You don't need it. Look at him. Are you all right? You well? You look good. You
I
look
am
fresh.
good. I am good. Yeah,
Good.
it was a rough week last week with Ricky Hatton.
Of course.
And yeah, we had the Eubank Benn press conference and the boxing world moves on. And yeah, lots happening as always. So yeah,
Okay.
day by day.
Well, listen, let's start with the latest episode of Talk Boxing, which is available now on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, because Terence Crawford and Chris Eubank Jr.'s trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, joined Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver and Paul Smith on this week's episode. And he was asked about the future of Eubank Jr. after his rematch against Conor Benn in November.
Do you see him taking a world title shot, and do you see him being a world champion? I know the stock answer is going to be yeah, but I'm trying to look into your eyes and get a real answer.
You know, I told him the other day, maybe it was yesterday or the day before, I said, man, once you get past this fight and you dominate this fight, they can't deny you fighting for a world title, you know. At 160, I believe he can be a world champion.
At 160?
At 160, I believe he can be a world champion.
Let me ask you this question, Adam. Out of the two of them, who's more likely to go on and become a world champion?
They both could. Eubank's obviously at the latter end of his career.
Yeah.
He's had his opportunities. He's good enough, I think, certainly to fight again for a world title and maybe win it. With Bomac now, that's an interesting move. Obviously, he's the man of the moment with Terence Crawford. Amir Khan spent some time with Bomac in the last stages of his career as well. Very, very good trainer. And you've got to listen carefully to what he says. But Conor Benn, going down the weights, could easily challenge for world titles. So I think the answer is both of them, but Conor is obviously younger, fresher. So let's see what happens on November the 15th. All eyes on the rematch and whether Ben can exact revenge or whether Eubank proves himself a little bit too good again. He certainly did down the stretch last time, but very interesting that he's brought McIntyre in. I just wonder about that £160, and again, a few months on, and the rehydration clause, which they still haven't seemingly accepted. That's what Ben Shalom was saying. Well, it seems to be confusing, Darren, doesn't it?
You know, it does seem confusing. I'm just looking at the 160 division, middleweight, and you said he can be a champion. I'm looking, who's going to beat? Because there's some serious guys at 160, and even if he goes up to super middleweight.
Read out the list.
I mean, you've got Jamie Beck.
Yep, who's very good.
You've got Israel Landi Lara. He's decent.
Yeah,
and Carlos Adams.
Yeah, Carlos Adams, who beat Hamza Shiraz. I mean, I think Eubank's got a chance against him. So I think that Janibek is very, very good. But look, if he beats Ben again and it's 2-0, he's got to go for a world title. That's sort of all that was left. He wanted Canelo. Now we wait and see what happens with Canelo after the Crawford fight. And I think Eubank Jr., if he gets this win and there's a new lease of life maybe under Bomac, 2026, maybe finally he could become a world champion. But he's got to get past Conor Benn first. And Conor Benn, not just hungry for revenge, he believes he can win this because of what happened first time round, because he went 12 rounds at middleweight, up in class, after a long layoff. Some people fancy Ben in this.
Let me ask you, there's always controversy when these two get together. We've seen Eggate. There's always one of them slagging off the other one, right?
What was your first reaction at Eggate when you saw...
I thought it was a cracking idea.
Yeah, very good.
Well,
happy Easter and all that.
I thought they're not yoking about. Right? But my question to you, in the last press
How
conference...
long do you spend working on these?
I was talking to Michelle about it. There was in the press conference last week, there was more slagging off, and a lot of it came from Chris Eubank Jr. As always. One, when Eddie Hearn was trying to talk about Ricky Hatton, and he shut him down, and I'll get your view on that in a sec. The other one was when he accused Matchroom or Eddie Hearn of blocking his ambulance.
Yep.
We'll start with that one. What's actually the scenario when a boxing match is finished and there's... I've never been at the aftermath when people are trying to get a hospital. What happens? Because I assume there's no way. I can't imagine Eddie Hearn sat in a car just with the engine running, just blocking an ambulance to come out.
There's no way that would have happened.
So what was that all about?
There was a lot of traffic that night out of Tottenham.
Right.
I was there for a while afterwards. I went to see Conor in his dressing room because he went to hospital later. Eubank went first. So I wasn't there at the beginning part, but when I was there probably an hour after everything had finished, and it was really difficult to get out of the stadium. There was still like traffic out of car parks and stuff. So I think that there obviously was a real problem getting out that night.
Why do you think?
But of course, an
ambulance
ambulance should get straight there.
Yeah.
We know what happened with Michael Watson at White Hart Lane, of course, and it's all about that. Spencer Oliver sits in here every other day, and I was there when at the Royal Albert Hall when he was rushed to the London Neurological Hospital, and he had an hour to get onto the table to save his life, and that was a horrendous night. Fortunately, everything went well, and he came through, and he made 100% recovery. But these things, okay, it wasn't that. It wasn't a brain injury. It was something that they just went for precautionary measures, I think, to hospital just to get them checked out. It was a pulsating 12-rounder. They were both shattered by the end of it. So, yeah, and they were rightly taken to hospital, but that has to be addressed. The ambulance should have got there in next to no time. But I think it probably was just the sheer weight of getting out of Tottenham that night. Don't know why.
So, Smudge, if Conor Benn was to win this fight, and I think potentially because of the age difference and the way the first fight went, if Conor Benn was to win it, do you think the next fight for both of them again is the third fight?
Has to be.
So again, they're waiting again for another opportunity to become world champion?
I think so, because the money will just be there, won't it, for a trilogy fight. This is the story. This is the fight. We talk about Eubank Ben or Joshua and Fury, these fights that seep into the casuals, into the football fans, and Tottenham will be banged out again and everyone will be watching it. Yeah. It's not a world title fight, but it's two very good fighters with the history of their fathers. We had the drama of Senior turning up last time, all four of them there. It's part of boxing history, legacy, it's storytelling, and I think if it's 1-1, there has to be a trilogy.
By the way, who do you think wins that fight? I'm guessing your view is going to change as we get closer, but right now, if it's tonight,
probably you'd have to say Eubank's favourite going in because he won the first time and he won by 2 or 3 down the stretch at the end. But I think Conor Benn's got a better chance this time because he's felt Eubank for 12 rounds. Plus, a few months later, Eubank at that weight and a little bit older just adds a bit more jeopardy. Yeah. But I'd say you have to lean slightly towards the guy that did it first time around. I mean, you look back at their fathers. Eubank won the first fight. They went into Old Trafford and it was a draw and it was very close. And a lot of people thought Ben won that one.
Bad decision there. Who do you want to win?
And we never got. Who do I want to win? I like them both.
No, but
different. No, I like them both.
If they both had a party on the same night, whose party are you going to?
Conor Benn's.
Okay. I'll see you there. Let's turn our attention to Ben Whitaker, because reports today suggest that he's in talks with Ben Shalom over a return to the ring in November.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him back.
Yeah.
Love Ben Whitaker. What a character. He's star quality.
He was to begin with, right?
He is.
The last couple of fights, I haven't seen the showboating, which I really liked.
You like the showboating, yeah?
Yeah, of course I do. I love it.
I think he had a serious point to prove against Liam Cameron in Birmingham. You know, after what happened.
Great finish.
Fantastic finish. Never let Liam get into it, and it was a difficult night he had out in Riyadh, and I don't think they dealt with it particularly well afterwards. I think that he had to go away and have a good think. Obviously, he linked up with Andy Lee. He's come back, and he's made a point, and Ben's a great guy. He's a nice guy off camera.
We've met him a few times.
He's very dedicated and disciplined, and he's got obviously this showmanship qualities. And he's at the beginning. I think he was a bit Marmite. You love him or hate him, but I really like Ben, and I think that he can go all the way, and I think he could become that next star for British boxing. But the light heavyweight division is absolutely cram-packed. Frank Warren's got a lot of them. Ben's obviously got Ben Whitaker, Ben Shalom, and we need to get him out soon.
You say about Ben Whitaker, do you think that first fight against Liam Cameron almost humbled him a bit? Because we like him, we really like him.
Yeah, great kid.
But the first fight, it just felt like all of a sudden people started to go, well, hold on, maybe he's not as good as we thought he was.
I think he probably thought it would be easier than it was, and he got into it and found that Cameron really wanted it and had nothing to lose and was big and strong and tough. And I think, Ben had to get through a very difficult night. So, probably went back home, back to the gym, and just thought, do you know what? I've got to take this maybe even more seriously. But this kid has been training since he was a boy. He does work really hard outside of the sort of the fame and the glory and the big Instagram following and the fun stuff. But he really is a serious fighter, and Look, there's question marks over whether he's got the power that some of the light heavyweights have. He's certainly got the skill set. And I think that he proved against Liam that when he's got a guy hurt, he's predatory as well. So I think Ben Whitaker can become a world champion. More importantly, I think he can become a real star for British sport.
But I'll tell you what, with these light heavyweight, with these killers, Bivell's got 3 of the belts.
Look, Bivol and Betebi ever going to fight again? We think in 2026. Look, if we get that, if we get Ben Eubank 3, if we get AJ Fury, look at these fights that are lining up for next year already, and we've got so many more to get through this year. But it's not just those; it's the domestic light heavies.
Yeah,
just the Joshua Boatsi's coming up, the Lyndon Arthurs. You've got so many. Callum Simpson might come up from super middleweight. I
was going to ask you about Boatsi. So he was with Ben Shalom, right, and Boxer, but they lost.
He's with Frank now.
They lost their deal with Sky. How detrimental could that be for Ben Shalom and his boxing stable, do you think?
Well, I don't know, because Ben's got this BBC deal, which is a real statement, I guess. I mean, the big channel, terrestrial. But of course, you're looking at DAZN, who've got Eddie and Frank. You're looking at what Turki Al-Sheikh's doing. You're looking at Netflix. So what the BBC going to do? How many fight nights are they going to have every year? Who are going to be the stars? He's got Adam Azim, he's got Ben Whitaker, he's got Fraser Clark, he's got Caroline Dubois, Callum Simpson, Lauren Price. He's got a fantastic stable that we built at Sky in that first couple of years, and now they're coming to their time. They were the Olympics cycle, that fantastic Tokyo cycle, and now they're coming into that point where they are either world champions like Caroline Dubois or very close like your Callum Simpsons, your Ben Whitakers in the next year or two. Adam Azim could be the star of all of them. That fight against Dalton Smith has to happen. That's a massive fight for 2026. So, yeah, look, there's huge amounts that Ben has with this BBC deal. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens. We're waiting to hear an announcement of when the first one is.
We're going to have a quick break. You're going to stay with us for the next 4 hours?
However long you want.
Okay, I mean, it says 30 minutes, but if we can get 4 hours, we will. It's in November. It sees Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis in an exhibition fight. We won't play the audio because we haven't got time, but in the audio, Jake Paul is alluding to the fact that he's not going to get any credit in the sport of boxing until he gets a belt. I personally don't think he'll ever get a belt because I think the gulf between proper boxers and YouTubers thinking they are proper boxers is gigantic.
Well, we'll find out. Because he's going to do everything he can to get to that position.
But doesn't he have to fight a real fighter at his weight to win a belt?
He's got this most bizarre fight with Gervonta Davis, exhibition, obviously. I mean, Gervonta Davis is a lightweight and one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. Seemed to not want to carry on and then announces this big fight with Jake Paul, up at 190 pounds? It's extraordinary. And it's ending up in Miami on November the 14th, and we will be watching.
It's an exhibition fight, right?
Yes.
Does that mean you're not allowed to knock your opponent out?
I think the rules are that... they've got 3 judges at ringside who have to make a decision at the end of it, but I don't know if a knockout or a knockdown can affect that. Not sure.
It's laughable, right?
That is laughable, that, if you can't knock him out.
No, but just the fact that these
I think you can. I think they're saying if it goes the distance, there has to be a winner with an exhibition fight. I think an exhibition fight doesn't count maybe on the record officially, but I think, there must be a knockout.
Why do you think he won't fight anyone?
There must be a knockout, because if it goes the distance, there's 3 judges.
Yeah.
So.
Why do you think Jake Paul refuses to fight anyone of his weight class that's a decent boxer?
Because Jake Paul is trying to do something no one's ever done before in a different way. He's trying to bring attention to himself, his brand, his women fighters, which is fantastic, by the way. And he's trying to find a way to get to a world title challenge. And it's fighting these obscure fights. Mike Tyson, odd. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., odd. Gervonta Davis, double odd. But they're making a ton of money. Huge amount of people are going to watch it. And it's going to be fascinating to see this huge guy against this little fella, the little fella who's so much better than him, but may not get near him or could get in and out and raid him. Who knows? I mean, the power that Jake Paul's got in comparison is just ridiculous. But Gervonta Davis is 10 times the fighter that Jake Paul is. But I think Jake Paul can find a way to a world title shot. I think they'll do that. I think Nikisa and him will find a way.
My only thing with that is that with Jake Paul is that I've only seen him fight one professional boxer, and that was Tommy Fury, and he got beat. Now, Tommy, no disrespect, isn't great.
Levels.
His levels, and he beat him. So I just don't see. I don't think there's any easy route. Certainly in that division.
But he does train hard. He has. Look, I have respect for every single person that puts on those gloves and gets in the ring, and he's got a dream. Let him go for it, and let's see if he.
See, I just think it's embarrassing.
I think it could end badly.
I think it's embarrassing.
If he fought AJ, Smudge, if
AJ should knock him out in a round.
In a round,
of course.
Yeah,
but Gervonta Davis, if it was a level playing field, would same thing.
Yeah, true. I think he would still knock him out, even though he's so small.
I think he can. But then Jake Paul lands one right hand.
No, that would never happen.
It probably won't.
It would never happen.
So what happens? Gervonta Davis wins on points?
Yeah, I was just being told by my producer it doesn't count towards their record, but there can be a knockout.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Right.
That's what it has to be. There has to be a knockout, otherwise people wouldn't watch it. They wouldn't just see it.
I'll tell you what.
Mind you, I thought that Tyson and Jake Paul, when they fought, it was like.
I tell you how I view his fights. Right, there's a comedian I think in the 80s, might have been 70s, called Andy Kaufman, very famous comedian. It was in Taxi.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he went into wrestling, but he only wrestled women. Right. And it was laughable. He was like, I'm the best wrestler in the world. And he fought he would only fight women because he knew he'd lose, right? That's what this is. He will only fight people that either have retired, that aren't boxers, or different weights.
So why,
and while he's fighting these people, he actually genuinely believes, I'm sure he does, that one day he'll get a shot at world title. If any governing body, I know it's all about money, if any governing body give him a chance to win a belt, I think they should be embarrassed.
Yo, look, Saturday I'm in Sheffield, right? GBM show, real quality trade boxing. Ben Crocker, Sean McComb, Ticey Gallagher, Ellie Halliwell, British Commonwealth titles. Fantastic, fair.
Yeah.
But how many people outside the trade know about it? And it will be a great little show on DAZN. However, this is Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis, Netflix, November 14th. Do you know what? People are going to be watching it.
I know they will.
The younger
car crash
generation are going to
telly,
be
right?
watching
People
it.
watch anything now.
Of course. Entertainment, in quotes.
You've been entertaining as always. Are you in the studio next week? I much prefer it. Were you with us?
Yeah, I'll come in.
Good, okay. Always a pleasure and an honour to see you. Thanks, Smudger.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.